Hey guys, welcome to Dan Reviews It. Got Merlin here today, and we're going to talk about Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Starring the wonderful Gal Gadot. I found out it's Gadot, not Godot.
Everyone says Godot.
They
I
do.
still say Godot.
They do, but she says Gadot, so I go with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we saw her, of course, first in the not Justice League, but the Batman v Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked her in that.
But she's one of the best parts.
Really, she is. Well, and Batfleck.
Batfleck, yeah.
His storyline aside, he was a good
Batman.
Good Batman. But she was definitely a standout in that.
She was.
And so this gets announced, people are like freaking out, and then the reviews start coming in, and people are freaking out more.
Yeah.
And then the box office receipts come in, highest grossing debut for a female director of all time.
Yeah.
Does it live up to the hype?
I think so.
I actually kind of think it did.
Yeah, I liked it.
I really, really enjoyed it. In terms of the DC universe,
oh, God.
best film since, I guess, The Dark Knight?
Well,
No, I thought it was better than Man of Steel.
Well, if we're talking this universe, the DC universe.
Okay, if we're talking about this universe, it would be Man of Steel.
But you think DC overall best since Dark Knight?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, well, at least critically, yeah.
Critically, definitely. But, I mean, for my taste, Dark Knight Rises, we know, I liked it first, and then upon reflection,
I don't like that
especially
movie.
upon second viewing,
it's
I don't dislike it as much as you, but
it's frustrating.
It is, as we find with the Nolan films.
Often.
And then, Batman vs Superman, I think we agree, is better on the extended.
Though long. Very long.
For some reason, this movie that's just below average in 2.5 hours, in 3 hours is much better.
That's usually not the way it goes.
Usually it's the opposite.
No, I think that one was okay, but everyone knows has problems.
Yes. And same with Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, there were some good things about. I actually watched it again like a week and a half ago.
You really liked that, didn't you?
I gave it a B-, I believe, and I would stand by that grade.
Oh, okay.
Now, I didn't watch the extended. There's an extended of that as well on the Blu-ray. So I've seen the original 3 times, but I have yet to watch the extended. Yeah, better than Batman Superman for sure.
Well, I mean, I think compared to all the DC releases, I mean, I've been saying for a while, I want, DC to finally have some fun, make a good comic book movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily have to copy Marvel, but then again, take some notes.
Yeah.
Because the dark and dreary...
It's always been their problem.
Super series is not working for you. And I was like, if Wonder Woman sucks, I don't know if I was going to even see Justice League.
Right.
Like, I was so fed up with it as a DC fan, but I think with this one... They finally brought, one of their legendary characters to life in a really good way. And she's somebody who probably should have had a movie 30 years ago.
Yes.
And it's funny because I guess there's been a lot of issues in the comics now adapting Wonder Woman, getting her to a wider audience. But I think this one, they took a lot of time with the origin story.
Mm-hmm.
And, they really made her character fresh and updated.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. And I think Gadot really does an amazing job with the role. She's good both as Diana and as Wonder Woman. It's a lot like Ben Affleck, actually. I think he's a great Bruce Wayne and a great Batman. And I think she really, brings her all to this role. Now, she's not done much. I know she was in one of the Fast and Furious movies.
Apparently, yeah.
She did, maybe a couple of other things.
Foreign
but,
films, yeah.
I mean, she's, to me, I think of her like a Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, she's pretty new.
Chris Hemsworth had done a couple of things, but certainly not a household name or anything like that when he got the Thor
He was the fake-out Captain Kirk. You think he's Kirk, and then he was Kirk's dad.
That's right.
And I thought he was very good in that.
Which he was good in that as well,
And then you saw him later as Thor, and like, oh, it's Kirk's dad.
Yeah.
Which apparently he'll be returning in the next Star Trek movie.
Oh, is that right?
Sidebar. But yeah,
Ooh, right.
You're right, very similar, and I think for a new actress, to take on a role with this much gravitas and this much behind it and so much fan pressure, from comic book geeks, they're ready to throw anything at her. And they were from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think as a representation of a strong female character, there really aren't that many big ones, especially outside of comics. So for this one, this one to do well, there haven't been very many good ones with female leads for movies. And this one, it's great. And I like personally geeking out over like just some of the little things, like when she, like, I don't know if we want to divert too much, but like I think some of the action was really cool. Like,
oh yeah,
like for the martial arts sequences and the jumping, and when she uses her lasso, I think it looks great.
I thought it looked awesome.
I love that stuff. So
this is a kind of movie. We talk a lot, especially with the movies I seem to do with you, about the CGI. And here, I thought it looked awesome.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't too much. Obviously it's CGI, but this is a movie that I don't think they could have done, 10 or 15 years ago in the same way because there is so much
There's a lot.
CGI action, but it's integrated very well, both visually and I think story-wise. I don't think they push the CGI to a super extreme level.
No.
But they certainly use it when they need to, and I think they use it well.
Well, I think that for the most part it's used well. I think one thing that kind of was a double-edged sword was, with this director, I think that she was kind of taking a hint from the whole 300 style with constant slow-mo.
Yeah.
That looked cool, but I think they relied on it a tad too much at some scenes.
I actually, I'm glad you bring that up because slow-mo has been a problem in many films.
Yeah.
And I was conscious of it in this because I remembered thinking, wow, this looks cool because I can actually see what's happening. Like, what I like that this director did, that we don't see a lot when they do the slow-mo thing, is they use it as more of a gimmick, but you still don't actually see what's going on. No. It's not any different from the regular pace.
Well, that's usually because there's shaky cam and the images are moving so fast. Like in Michael Bay Transformers, there's CGI robots, but they're like this and the camera's like this. So
or Jason Bourne, the most recent Bourne movie.
Yeah. Close-up fight scenes where like, what's happening?
Right. But here, I think it was utilized. You're right, maybe a little much, but it allowed me to actually see what was happening in the fight sequences.
Now,
and I don't get that often in action movies.
No, you're right. That is true that you could actually see the detail they put into the actual choreography and the CGI. I think some of the jumping wasn't quite perfected. Those remind me of video game cutscenes, but those are usually a few seconds. The only part, and I'm kind of going into the only real major negative I have with the film, because it's kind of all connected, is as far as CGI and effects go, I think for the most part it looked great, and it was colorful too, which we needed that, thankfully, not constantly dreary.
I mean, they tried that with Suicide Squad, but it worked better here.
Yes. But the final fight scene with the bad guy does look like a stock, standard, dull, kind of lame fight. Not just visually, but in terms of the content of the film. So that is, for multiple reasons, kind of the big flaw I have with the movie, is that for as great as everything else is, the villain and the whole climax is just kind of okay. And that is something that most of my friends kind of agree with. And even if you don't know much about the villain, he does seem kind of underwhelming and inconsistent based upon his powers, motivations. Like, it's one of the situations where you were probably watching it, wow, this guy's powerful, how's she going to beat him? Oh, I guess she just randomly gets plot powers and takes him down one punch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fair criticism.
That was one, that's the only major negative I had, was the ending and villain kind of,
A little long also.
Towards the end I was
not much, but maybe 10 minutes.
They could
not as long as, like, Age of Ultron.
No, but they could have shaved a few minutes maybe.
Yes, yeah.
Did you think there was not enough time with Themyscira for the Amazons? Because that's one complaint I've heard.
I liked that stuff, but I can't say that I was necessarily thirsting for more, because, I don't know, I think sometimes in origin stories they dwell too much on the origin.
True.
And, Wonder Woman may not be a character that everyone knows her origin.
No.
But everyone knows who Wonder Woman is. It's so funny that she has never had a movie up until now, because, other than the TV show in the 70s, there hasn't been much, visual media representation of her.
I mean,
outside of the books.
The best stuff she had up to this point, I think, was probably she was in like some of the DC animated cartoons, like Justice League.
The Justice League, right?
But even in those, with the exception of a couple episodes, she was never the leading lady.
Right.
It was always ensemble. Right.
And so yet, everyone knows who she is.
Well, she is iconic.
She's very iconic.
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman is the Trinity. It's the Holy Trinity of DC.
They brought her in the Lego movie, which was funny. So, yeah, I mean, I liked the stuff with the Amazons. I did. But, I mean, Chris Pine enters pretty early on, and we sort of then, veer off into the, into America.
And,
or London, I guess.
Some people offer that as a criticism, and I could kind of understand that, but for Wonder Woman, she starts off there, but she always goes off, with Steve Trevor, and she goes and saves the world as the ambassador to the Amazons,
Right.
you know, from them. And that's what she does.
Mhm.
You know, she's out amongst the people learning about man's world. So I was fine with it. It's very similar.
was too.
They're taking points, obviously, from Thor, because a lot of complaints people had
okay.
about that was, you know, you saw all this really cool stuff in Asgard, and then a lot of people complain, why aren't we there? Well, Thor, even though he's a god, he is the superhero on Earth.
Right.
So
bring him to Earth.
not
right.
not really a valid complaint, and besides, it leaves them open for sequels, maybe for this
True.
one. And also, one thing I really liked, some of my buddies liked, is they also took strong hints using Steve Trevor, Chris Pine's character, Captain
Loved
America, the first one.
Yeah.
Instead of World War II, it's World War One.
Oh, that's right.
And-
It's supposed to take place comic book wise in Second War.
And that's true originally, but they decided to do World War One, and I thought that was a great war to kind of show Wonder Woman how terrible, you know, humanity could be capable of so many things, and to show that contrast for her development.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, it's kind of a funny thing. There aren't too many great World War One movies,
There really aren't.
and this kind of is a good one.
Yeah.
Actually, and
Funny to say, but you're right.
Like the scenes, like for a PG-13 movie,
Mm-hmm.
kind of gory.
Yes,
a lot,
very visceral.
You know, so
Mhm.
I was like, wow, this is World War One.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the trenches, the gas.
You're right. And
It's different.
I have the you know, I like to collect these comic book reprints and comic strip reprints, and I have all three of the DC ones from, they're called the War Years.
Really?
So it's like 38 to I guess 44.
Is that the comic
Um,
strips like the newspaper ones?
It's actually the actual books.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Although I do have the Wonder Woman strip reprints, but that was only out for like a year.
Oh, nice.
But it is cool that they took the World War One tact with it, because it is not, you know, along with the storyline. But you're right, we see a ton of World War II movies,
So many.
and of course, I didn't think of this, but right, Captain America
Already
the
did
first
it.
one already did it. So there's why rehash that when we can put her in a whole new setting.
And I mean, it is kind of obvious because they give her a crew kind of like his, different,
Yes.
you know, ethnicities and representations. But I remember even when I was watching some other people, considering the fact that it would be very easy to make all those character stereotypes, they're all kind of likable and
Yeah.
fairly complex for their limited time, and
That's
you,
very
you
true.
care about them too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yes.
You know, there's more than just Wonder Woman.
And they add the appropriate amount of humor to the story,
To lighten it
which is exactly what DC's problem, like you said, has been for years.
But it doesn't feel like Suicide Squad, where it's just like forced like pop
It's
culture
lots of
jokes,
jokes, right.
and flashy color here. It's like
Yes.
it's integrated into the story.
Yeah.
It's pretty good for the most part. I think.
Yeah, and I thought Chris Pine, amazing again.
Good.
He's quickly becoming one of my favorite up and coming or lead actors. I mean, between obviously the Kirk stuff, but you know, between Hell or High Water last year, you know, and he's done some other projects. Finest Hours wasn't that
It's
great
okay.
of a movie, but he was
fine
good in it.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with him, and what I like about him over maybe a Chris Evans, and I love Chris Evans as Captain America,
Okay.
but in anything else, not so great. Same with
Hey,
Hemsworth, to be
hey,
honest.
he was good in Snowpiercer.
Oh yeah, you're right. He was good in
He was good in
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer.
But with Chris Pine, he is a leading man, obviously, from many of his movies. But here, he's obviously second banana, and he does not ever outshine her. Like he plays a really good second banana to the lead. And for such a pretty boy lead actor, I thought that was really cool. That he wasn't like hamming it up or hogging the limelight or anything.
All right. One of the, you know, for as much critical acclaim as this movie got, I know some people online, some of the haters, did have some issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this might seem kind of arbitrary, but I think we should probably talk about
Okay.
it. The whole strong, independent woman thing. First of all, one of the big criticisms that Gadot received was her body type, that she wasn't big enough for the Amazon role.
Mm-hmm.
Now, personally, I'll admit, I guess in the comics, typically, I guess she's a more shapely woman, but it's hard to find that build realistically anyway.
Yeah.
But I
Certainly.
think maybe they could have found someone slightly more voluptuous, I guess. But I think she beefed up, and in the armor, I think she looked good. I believe she was an Amazon. So
Yeah.
did you have a problem with that visually at all?
Not at all. Well, because when I think of you know, actresses that we know that could have maybe fit the bill.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good actresses. Like Ronda Rousey, for example, maybe had a better body type for the role.
But she
can't act her way out of a paper bag. God bless her. She seems like a nice person.
Sure, yeah.
But the movies we've seen her in, she's not good.
Yeah.
That's one person that came to mind. But the other thing I thought of with this criticism was, and of course, you are the comic book guy, not me, but when Hugh Jackman was announced as Wolverine, I know that was a big problem for a lot of comic book
tall,
fans.
skinny, pretty boy.
He doesn't look like him.
Not at all.
But, now...
He has
so many years later
become him.
How can you even separate the two?
Yeah.
So that's why stuff like that I kind of take with a grain of salt, because if they do what the role requires of them, they become the character, and maybe the physicality specifics are not as important.
I think that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit deeper though, kind of relating to the relationship with Steve Trevor.
Okay.
How do you feel that was handled? Do you think that the way they went was well handled? Was it cliche? Because you know how I feel about the romances.
Yes.
Now, I will say this, though.
Yeah.
People were offering that criticism and taking away from the strong female hero.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of understand it, but this is a mainstream movie.
Right.
You're going to have romance, and in the comics, guess what? If you're being faithful to it, she kind of ran off partially because she fell in love with the guy.
Right.
Because she's innocent, doesn't know any better. It's the first man she ever sees.
Right.
Cut her some slack.
Right. Honestly, I did not think it was as forced as, let's say, if we're going to stick in the comic realm, let's say Thor and Natalie Portman.
That's one of the ones it's grown on me over time, but I remember seeing Thor a while back and thinking that whole romance bothered me. Like, why does he want her? Why does she want him? I mean, I guess he's Thor, but it didn't work on multiple levels.
I didn't think it worked either, and I think I like the first Thor movie more than you. I think we're on the same page with the second one.
I like Thor.
The romance is in that, I think, very forced and kind of corny.
It's okay.
Here, I believed it more.
Yeah.
And I think the actors had chemistry for sure with each other.
And humor.
Humor. So yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with that.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to address that because some people were really bashing it for that stuff, and I thought that was just poking, minor things.
Yeah, I think people that want to hate a movie
will find something.
That can't really find much start nitpicking like that.
That's basically nitpicking.
Yes, I believe so. Now, if you want to nitpick some of the other recent DC movies, I don't think you have to go very far.
Because there's bigger problems.
Because there's big holes.
I think.
But here, yeah, I really think these are negotiable things.
Yeah, I could kind of see it, but big deal, I don't know.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, well, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that about covers it. I was very pleased with this movie. It certainly makes me look forward to the Justice League movie. I mean, I'm on board.
I think that I'm glad that they made a fun, solid, really good superhero movie, and if they continue in this direction and have a little more fun, I think DC can maybe take it back because they did really well with this one, and I know there's a lot of hardcore DC fans out there. Are they ever going to take Marvel? Probably not.
Probably not.
But I think they can definitely raise the bar quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I leave Wonder Woman with an A-.
Wow, we're on the same page. Yeah, we are, because for a couple minor CGI issues and the way the villain was handled and the ending brought it down for being a really solid one, but it's pretty close. I'm also an A-.
Very good. I'm going to see it again this weekend with my nephew, so second looks usually seal the deal, whether it's going to stay an A- or, raise or lower, but I'm pretty comfortable with where it is.
Wonder Woman's always been popular, but I feel like a lot of people don't really read her stories. I think after this, people might check out some old comics.
I think they should. But all right, so that's going to do it for this edition. We've got a ton of content coming up on the channel. Riverdale's finally going to be starting.
Yep.
And then the X-Files reviews keep coming, and the Buffy. And then I've got standalone reviews for Transformers and The Mummy and Despicable Me and Cars 3. So lots of stuff to look forward to there, and of course you're always it seems like every other day you've got something new, whether it's a Merlin cast or anime stuff or
an article or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to pump out stuff as much as I can. You guys can check that out, but I'll pop you over once I can.
Yeah, always appreciate it.
Cool.
So that's going to do it for us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.